The cancer-proof rodent. It almost sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But we're about to dive into the story of a real-life creature that might just hold a key to one of our greatest medical challenges. It's a story about a total biological outlier, a true marvel of nature. Meet the naked mole rat. Now look, cancer is a leading cause of death for pretty much all mammals, including us, right? Well, get this, scientists have never observed a single spontaneous tumor in one of these guys. Just let that sink in for a second. Never. And you know what? Its cancer immunity is really just the tip of the iceberg. This animal is bizarre in the best way possible. I mean, how does a rodent live for over 28 years and show almost no signs of aging? How does it build these massive underground colonies, kind of like bees, all while living in a super low oxygen world? Seriously, the naked mole rat seems to break every single rule in the biology textbook.
So all this incredible resistance brings up a huge question, one that has totally captivated scientists. How on earth does it do it? What's its secret? To even begin to find an answer, we can't just look at the animal. We've got to go deeper, right down to its cells.
Okay, so here's where the investigation really kicks off. The first huge clue didn't come from studying the mole rat out in the wild. Nope, it came from growing its cells in a simple petri dish. And what the scientists saw there, well, it was completely unexpected.
Okay, take a look at this. The difference is just night and day. On the left, you've got the naked mole rat cells. They grow for a bit, form this kind of loose network, and then they just stop. It's almost like they're super polite and respecting each other's personal space. But then on the right, you see normal mouse cells. They just keep going, piling on top of each other, forming this dense mat. This one simple difference in behavior, that's our first big clue.
So to put it another way, these mole rat cells are just antisocial, or maybe super socially aware. As soon as they bump into a few neighbors, they completely stop dividing. Now this is a known phenomenon called contact inhibition, but what's happening in the naked mole rat? Well, it's on a whole other level.
And I'm not talking about a small difference here. When researchers actually measured it, they found that the mole rat cells stop growing at a density that's more than 3 times lower than mouse cells. They hit the brakes way, way earlier. This isn't some tiny little tweak. It's a completely different rule book for growth. So naturally, scientists gave this unique ability a name: early contact inhibition. And you can see why it's such a powerful built-in safety switch. I mean, if cancer is basically just uncontrolled cell growth, these cells have this hypersensitive trigger that stops that process dead in its tracks before it can even think about starting. Okay, so that leads us to the next big question. What's the machinery behind this amazing cellular security system? What's going on at the molecular level? How is this rule enforced so rigidly? All right, so the researchers decided to start breaking things to see how they work. They went after 2 really famous guardian proteins, you might have heard of them, P53 and PRB. These are basically the cell's emergency brakes, aka tumor suppressors. Now, in most animals, including us, if you mess up just one of these, you're in big trouble. It's a huge step towards cancer. But in the naked mole rat, something incredible happened. Even when they disabled one of the guardians, if the cells even tried to grow too much, a backup system would kick in and basically force them to self-destruct. Wild. Let's just walk through that, because it's so cool. So, step 1, the scientists knock out one of the security guards. Step 2, the cells try to get greedy and grow past their limit. But step 3, that immediately triggers a backup alarm. And step 4, the cell just self-destructs. This process is called apoptosis. It's basically programmed cell death. It's just a brilliant, built-in failsafe.
So the key takeaway here is this. It's not a simple lock on the door. It's a bank vault with multiple layers of security. To make these naked mole rat cells go rogue, you have to knock out both the first alarm system and the backup self-destruct sequence at the same time. This redundancy is everything. It's a huge part of their incredible cancer resistance.
Okay, so this discovery of a 2-part security system led researchers right to the final piece of the puzzle, identifying the exact proteins that are acting as the gatekeepers. And this is where we find out what makes the naked mole rat strategy so unbelievably special. So it turns out that our cells, and mouse cells, pretty much rely on one main stop sign protein. It's called P27, and it only really kicks in when the cells get super crowded. But the naked mole rat, it has 2 stop signs. It uses a completely different protein, P16, as its first line of defense.
This is the early stop sign that halts growth when things are still sparse. And then, if that somehow fails, it still has P27 waiting in the wings as a backup. It's a two-tiered system.
And this diagram just lays it all out perfectly. It shows you exactly why the mole rat strategy is so much better. Up top, you see the mole rat system. A cell density goes up, bam, it hits that first stop sign, P16. That triggers that early contact inhibition we talked about. And it still has the second stop sign, P27, waiting just in case. Now, look at the bottom diagram for us and for mice. See that? We're just missing that first crucial layer of security. The naked mole rat has a whole extra line of defense that we just don't have.
Okay, so we've basically cracked the code of how this weird little rodent stays cancer-free. But what does all of this mean for us? Why does it matter? What are the lessons here?
Well, the lessons are actually pretty profound. First off, it just goes to show that nature has come up with all these powerful and really different ways to fight cancer. Second, it makes it crystal clear that the mole rat's two-tiered system is just way more robust than our own. And that really backs up a huge idea in biology. To live a long time, a species has to evolve better ways to stop cancer. And finally, and maybe most importantly, this gives scientists a totally new model, a new roadmap for thinking about how to develop cancer prevention for us.
And that just leaves us with one last huge question to chew on. The naked mole rat proves that it's biologically possible to live a life that's pretty much free from cancer. So, if evolution figured this out once in a tiny rodent burrowing under the African savanna, just imagine what other incredible secrets for a healthier, longer life are still out there, just waiting for us to find them in the vast library of nature.